Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So for this video, I'm going to talk about sort of my journey as a Lego collector from when I was like very young up until now that I'm an adult collector. So I actually started interacting with Lego at a very young age. I think it was around maybe 2, 3, I'm not sure exactly. But it was when the Phantom Menace came out in theaters. So my first Lego sets were actually Star Wars sets, which is very fitting because I'm a very big Star Wars fan. I don't remember actually purchasing these sets or how they came to be in my possession, but I distinctly remember owning them and building them and playing with them. It was the Naboo Starfighter from 1999, and then it was the sort of Naboo Swamp set. I'm not sure of the name, but it's this one I'm showing on screen right now. It came with Qui-Gon Jinn and Jar Jar Binks, and it had sort of like a little pond area and then some droids. These sets were a lot of fun, and they sort of laid the ground for my love of Lego and, you know, the system itself and how it works and how you're able to create with them. So after those two sets, I don't really remember owning any particular set in general, just mainly random bricks so that I could, you know, build different things. And then the next actual set that I remember actually going to the store and getting it was this sort of like jet ski submarine type thing. It was, I think, around 2001, 2002, I'm not sure, but it's this one. And I was obsessed with it. I thought it was an amazing little vehicle. I loved the little turbines that it had. It was just amazing. It was actually, I was so amazed by it that I actually went out and bought a second one because it was just so much fun. And I would play with it all the time. But that's like my first memory of actually going to get a Lego set. And then I sort of still stuck around with the random bricks to build different things, but I wasn't purchasing any other sets. And then when I was around 7, I remember getting the Lego Harry Potter Hagrid's Hut. And these sets had already been around for a little bit, but it was gifted to me and I actually fell in love with it. It was an amazing little build. It was so detailed and so well thought out, and the playability, the way it opened up into sort of like this just gigantic wall that you could just, you know, interact with all the little things around the hut itself. And it was just, I just loved that set. And then after that set, I didn't get any for a while. I just played with the Legos that I had. Obviously, I was still a little kid and, you know, I wasn't going to the store to get Lego every release date because, you know, it wasn't even a thing back then. And then I remember when the Lego Star Wars video game came out and I started playing it, I was completely blown away by all the ships and all the characters and how detailed they were, and seeing like this movieverse that I love in this toy form that I also loved. And so I knew that I needed to sort of get back into buying sets and then, you know, and owning these like vehicles and these minifigures because they were just fantastic. And one day my dad went on a business trip and he said, listen, I'll bring you back something. And I said, please, can you just get me a Lego Star Wars set? I don't care what set it is, just a Lego Star Wars set. I think I was around 10 or 11 by this point. And he came back with this. It was the Obi-Wan Starfighter with the hyperspace ring. And I was just blown away by this. It was an amazing set. It was a great set to sort of get me started back on the Lego hype and all, you know, the love of the bricks and the details. It was just fantastic. I remember begging him to stay home from school the next day so that I could build it. And he actually let me. I stayed the next day home from school and I built it all morning, and I spent all morning playing with it. And it was so much fun. And then this one sort of opened the doors to sort of like my teen years for collecting. After this set, I remember distinctly getting a few more sets. Like, people started to notice that I really liked this more than anything, so I would start getting Lego more for my birthday and more for Christmas. I remember getting the Naboo Starfighter, like the newer version, and then General Grievous' Starfighter, a V-Wing. You know, sort of, people could tell that I was starting this sort of like habit of collecting, and because they were all on display in my bedroom. They weren't like tossed in a bucket. They were like neatly placed on a shelf, and so, you know, people started to notice that that's what I liked. So by this point, I had a bunch of Star Wars Legos. All the Legos from my earlier childhood, including the Hagrid's Hut, they got lost. We moved around a lot when I was a kid, so in one of the moves, they just got lost, we never found them, and it was really heartbreaking. But I had already started this sort of like new collection. So it was really nice to have bricks again and be able to play again. And so I was getting more and more Star Wars sets as time went on, but I also kind of wanted to make the jump into sort of like city building. I had seen some of the modular buildings, but obviously as a 10, 11, 12-year-old, they were very, very expensive and completely out of my price range, and out of my parents' price range for that matter. I just kind of wanted to work on like a smaller scale city, like with the Creator 3-in-1 sets. And my first Creator 3-in-1 set was actually the Apple Tree house. And I was obsessed with it because it was my first ever like Lego house. It was a completely enclosed building, no interior, but it was so cute and so picturesque, and I really, really liked it. And I sort of wanted to try building a little city around it. So I remember like there was a time when I took apart a lot of my Lego Star Wars sets, like some of the ones that I didn't like as much, and I would use the pieces to build like a park or an ice cream shop. And after a while I regretted it and I put them back together. Like, please, nobody panic. No Lego sets were harmed in the making of this video. But it was kind of like a dream of mine to sort of like start up a Lego city. Like, who would have thought that I would end up where I am today, but you know. And so after the Apple Tree house, I just kept getting the Star Wars sets, and then as well the Harry Potter sets that came out around the time that Deathly Hallows was released. That like 2011 line, that one was like my very first Harry Potter wave that I really tried to get a lot of the sets. Obviously I didn't get all of them, but I got the big Hogwarts, I got the little Hogwarts expansion, I got Hagrid's hut again, I got the Quidditch tower thing, and it was really nice. It was a lot of fun, but I wasn't getting all of them. And I distinctly remember by this point, I think like 4 or 5 modular buildings had released, and I always looked at them and was thinking, wow, these are so good, but I know I can't afford these, so I better just, you know, like stop looking at them. And then Palace Cinema came out, and I was blown away, just completely blown away. It was such a beautiful building. It really captured the essence of movie-going, and I'm a big movie-goer myself. I love going to the theater and getting popcorn and sitting down, getting to watch the movie on a big screen. It was just, it represented everything I loved about movies. And as soon as I saw it, I thought to myself, I'm getting this. I'm getting this, and I don't care if it's the only building I ever own, I am getting this. And I saved up, and with a little help from my dad, I went to the Lego store and I got it, and it was my first modular, and I was so happy. I was so excited. It was just such an amazing build. It was so much fun, and it really opened the doors to collecting the modulars. Like, once I saw the quality of the design and the build, and knowing that I was missing out, I thought to myself, I can't miss out on any of these. And so I made the courageous decision at, I don't know, like 14 years old, 15 years old, to start collecting modular buildings. So I knew the modulars released like one every year by this point, and I also knew that they had a shelf life. So I knew I had to get the oldest modular that was still available, and that was the Fire Brigade. By the time I was up to date with the modular line, with everything that had released from the Fire Brigade onward, I think it was the release of the Detective's Office, and they had already announced the Brick Bank. So it was probably like late 2015, I think, if I'm not wrong. I might be wrong. So it took a while to get all the modulars, obviously. After that point, it sort of became like a thing to get the new modular the year it was released. Like, I remember distinctly getting the Brick Bank and then getting Assembly Square. While all of this was happening, I was still buying Star Wars Lego. I was never one to buy all of the Star Wars sets released. I would only get the ones that I was interested in, which at the time was mostly the original trilogy sets. So like I mentioned, I was getting the modulars, I was also buying my Star Wars sets. And then they announced the diner, and I was kind of heartbroken. I didn't like that they had changed the faces, which in retrospect, I'm actually thankful that they did, because, you know, so much more expression and more ability to tell stories. So that was a good call on their part. I just wasn't ready for the change. And then also I felt like the building didn't really fit in with the rest of the line. Like all of the other buildings had been so classic, and this one was just really out there with some very clashing colors and just a completely different design. And I actually stopped collecting the modular line because of it. I was just like, I'm not doing modulars anymore. That's the end of that. And I was just gonna, you know, work with the city that I had. And so I continued with the Star Wars sets, and then later on in 2018, when they announced the re-release of Harry Potter sets, I also continued with those. So by this point, I was already in college, and then they announced the Bookshop modular, and I fell in love with the line again. I felt like this new set really captured sort of the vibe and the feeling of the older modulars, but in a whole different way. The little tree at the front, it was just amazing. It was beautiful. Because usually with the older modulars, you'd get tiny little trees or little bushes, like there wasn't a lot of greenery, but this one was like a massive tree. And like the bookshop itself is named after the tree. And I'm a very big plants guy, so I fell in love with it straight away. And once I got that one, I was like, you know what? I can't leave the line incomplete. And so I got the corner garage, and then I got the diner. And so that sort of started the modular line again for me. It's sort of become a tradition for me now at this point to get modulars on release date or around the release date. And it's something I look forward to all year long, sort of like Christmas. And so now we've sort of made it to current time, which is where I'm at right now with, you know, with my city currently growing, a lot of mocks, which I didn't used to do a lot back in the day, but I'm very into now. And then with the Harry Potter sets, the Star Wars sets, it sort of hasn't changed. Like I haven't deviated into any other themes, but I'm actually very happy with what I collect. I think it's a lot of fun, and I'm just very grateful that I get to be a part of this amazing hobby that is Lego collecting, and part of this amazing community that is you guys, the Lego collectors out there that enjoy the hobby and, you know, being a part of this fan community. It's just, I really have to admit that the Lego fan community is one of the best communities that I've ever been a part of. Everyone is just so nice and so ready to help. I've made so many friends through it, and I'm just really grateful and really happy that I get to be a part of it. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video, sort of get to know my Lego journey a little bit better. I know it's more of like sort of like what Lego sets I had during the different years of my life, kind of. But it's sort of what I've done throughout my entire life up until this point. So I hope you know, enjoyed listening to my story. So that is the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!